If there's one thing that Miraculous Ladybug has in abundance, it's an excess of truly terrible parents. As is common for youth-targeted film, TV, or books, part of it's just pure negligence, I think. They suck because they need to in order for the story to play out and give room for the protagonist to actually do stuff. It's pretty much the Harry Potter effect, where the adults are portrayed as unrealistically stupid and negligent to ensure that Harry and the gang can be the heroes who save the day in every book. And really, that's easily observable in some aspects of our characters' lives in Miraculous. For example, all of Lila's mums and how she's able to so easily bamboozle them all. Or really, the teachers and Lila, etc., where they get dumbed down to the extreme to justify nobody figuring out that she's just the worst person ever. But anyway, that is not the limit to terrible parenting within the show, because you veer from that to straight up abusive behaviour. Like, well, there's Gabe, for instance, who isolates his son in the wake of the death of Emily, and who is cold to him for much of the show's run, preventing him from spending significant amount of time with his friends, scheduling his life, forcing him to model, and pretty much perform like a circus animal. And then of course going full psycho and locking him in that prison cell in the finale, as well as trying to make him fall in love with Kagami, and give Marinette the boot. Lovely man. We also have Kagami's mum, and she really isn't much better. It feels like she might even be more strict on her daughter than Gabe was with Adrian. She also gets involved with the plot to get the Miraculouses, seemingly not caring about anyone who gets hurt as long as it isn't her daughter, while simultaneously trying to force her to be with Adrian. Nice. We have Audrey, who just sucks. Like, she's so unable to even to pretend to care about her kids. At least Gabe and Tamoy, they actually do love their children. They abuse them, yes, but they do care. But I honestly think Audrey doesn't care about her kids at all. The only thing she cares about is fame and clout. And when her kids serve no more purpose, i.e. Zoe, they get the boot. And bonus points, she's an abusive spouse too, which is something that no other character in the show is able to claim. Congratulations! Not even Gabe's as bad as you. Hell, the root of the rest of his abusive behaviour is literally because of his obsessive love for Emily, which in turn pushes him to try to bring her back to life at any cost. So at least he loved his wife, jeez. And then that brings us, of course, to Andre, and he just sucks as well. Negligent, terrible, he spoiled his daughter to the point that she's simply his wife writ small now. Completely ruined that girl. And even worse, they try to give him a redemption arc at the end, although I suspect that's more because the writers, or rather, Astric it seems to have a massive amount of hatred and vitriol towards Chloe, which is something I do find odd for a character that he created, but whatever. Maybe he based her off his childhood bully or something like that. Either way, couldn't resist giving her one last middle finger by having her dad disown her and pretty much adopt her half-sister. Dang. But that being said, that's not even why we're here. That was simply setting the scene, giving us some context and preparing us for the true topic of today's video. That I feel like we don't talk enough about how negligent Marinette's parents are during the show, and how little of a handle they seem to have on the comings and goings of their daughter's life. Like, are they the worst parents ever? No. But they're not exactly setting the world on fire either when you look at it in depth. So I think we've got to discuss that today, right? But hey, before we go any further, this video is tongue-in-cheek. Don't take it too seriously, we're all here for some fun. After all, as the parents in the show actually go, they are among the best, but at the same time, I just find it very funny that in the world of Miraculous, even top-tier parents have me shaking my head in disbelief at their parenting ability. Okay, so we have to be fair, right? I just can't go about listing the ways in which Tom and Sabine have failed without acknowledging that they are very kind and supportive parents who love their daughter and treat her very well, right? I think we can all acknowledge that fact. It's pretty obvious from the get-go that this is the case. Like, they legitimately love their kid, they treat her well, comparatively. And I mean, even in comparison to a lot of other on-screen parents in various TV shows and different franchises, they are good. But I still can't get past some pretty damn glaring flaws. Okay, so in the Origins episode, we see that Chloe and Marinette have been in the same class for years and years and years. Every year, it's the same thing. Marinette desperately hopes that she's not going to have to share a class with Chloe, and yet sure enough, there she is, ready and willing to ruin poor Marinette's year with her cruelty and bullying. Bullying, which is revealed in the last episode, in a flashback episode, to be mega cruel, like absurdly cruel, to the point of staging a humiliating rejection by Kim. You'd think that as a parent, having your kid come home every single day, upset that she has to interact with this one girl, every time, every year, every class, would have perhaps clued her into the fact that her daughter more than dislikes this girl, and that perhaps it's time as a parent for her to intervene. Instead of being all, oh, it'll be alright, yada yada yada, oh, Chloe again this year, oh, like, geez. And I mean, I think it's pretty clear right now I'm talking about Sabine. And I feel like most of my early issues that I'm going to talk about, they are Sabine related. Because most of the time Tom does seem like a bit of a Chad, although he does fail also. Because reflect against Sabine's inaction with the Chloe stuff, compared to this. Remember that time that Chloe tried to accuse Marinette of theft on Parents' Day or whatever it was, and Tom just wasn't having it? Went toe-to-toe with the mayor, screaming in his face? Giga Chad energy there. But yeah, meanwhile, Marinette's once again dreading a school year due to the prospect of having to spend time with Chloe, her bully. Like at that point, either just change up your schools to avoid her getting bullied, or at the very least go to the faculty and ask specifically that in the future, Marinette not be placed in Chloe's classes. Because I think it's clear that there's no chance the school would ever punish Chloe, whilst the mayor's there to throw his weight around at least, but I feel like they wouldn't really mind too much if they kept them separate. I mean, everyone knows that Chloe sucks. They just can't really do anything. And I think this would be especially obvious to everybody because it's clear to the most oblivious onlooker that Chloe and Marinette do not like each other. Why would you keep putting them in the same class? Just chaos. Apparently that's too much work though, too much effort to put in to protect your kid. And I mean, actually, honestly, screw what I said before. Tom should also be aware of this. He could do it too. I don't know, I just felt like maybe he comes across a bit more nice about it than Sabine. I don't know. Come on though, prioritize your kid. How do you let this happen? But this ain't all. Like, that one was bad, but I'd argue that this is way worse. And right now we're taking a look at something in season 3. Specifically the episode Ladybug. Now as a brief recap, this episode is one in which Gabe's trying to enlist Lila's help to deal with Marinette and keep her away from Adrian. Previously, Lila had claimed to him that Marinette was going to be a bad influence on Adrian, and so she sets out to ruin Marinette's life, framing her for theft, for cheating on tests, and also for pushing her down the stairs, which in turn gets Marinette expelled from the school, and realistically, blacklisted from most other schools. And granted, Sabine does get akumatized from the outrage of it all, but later on, she very, very heavily implies that she believes that Marinette's guilty of all this. And it's like, really? You already know that your daughter has been bullied before at this specific school. You know that she probably doesn't like this girl because she's vented to you before, most likely because she vents about other stuff to her mum. And on top of that, for years, she has had an impeccable record. And suddenly you think overnight she's become a violent, cheating thief? Like, I get there's evidence, but she literally says she's being framed by this person that she doesn't like. Surely, at the very least, you would give your kid the benefit of the doubt for a few days whilst you investigate things. Considering, as I mentioned, how squeaky clean she's always been in every single aspect of her life. And what do you know? Marinette was actually right, she was being framed, and Lila even admits to doing it, only to somehow fool everybody into thinking she has some sort of disease that causes her to lie compulsively. And this is the point where you, as a parent, after realizing how much of a mess you'd made of things, should probably apologize to your kid and make things right. Sing her praises from the rooftops, demand accountability from the school for this trauma, demand that Lila's moved to a different class. Anything. But instead, what does she do? She talks about how wonderful it is that Lila can continue to seek an education despite her condition. What kind of weird enabling lunacy is this shit? Not even mad for your daughter? Like, yeah, special condition, but you can still be upset. And then not only that, but she continues to forge a bond with this girl. A girl that she knows her daughter hates, and that has hurt her daughter in the past, to the point that they hug at Sabine's painting class. What is this? It is absolute BS that she's able to somehow justify this to herself. If I was Marinette, I'd be very upset. Oh yeah, she almost framed you as a cheater and a thief who would lash out with violence when confronted, and on top of that, got you expelled for these acts, which probably would have made it far more difficult for you to get a position at a good school in the future, and would certainly have got you placed under increased supervision at any school you did get into. I mean, pushing somebody down the stairs can kill you, and here Sabine is, just brushing it off. Oh, but wait. There's still a little bit more. In season 1, Marinette runs into a problem. She's skipping classes, and so her attendance at school has suffered. Because of course she's living a double life as Ladybug, a hero. And so in response to this, instead of sitting down with her, trying to come to the root of the problem themselves and figure out why their daughter, who like I said has historically been portrayed as a top student, would be missing class. I mean, she has a history of being bullied, so maybe that's a path to look down. But nope. What do her parents do when confronted with this info? They ground her, they punish her, tell her to fix it or else. Like, yeah, punishment might be needed, right? But at the same time, I think it's pretty clear that she needs guidance. That if your kid is cutting class to this extent, there has to be something more at work. But no, they punish her, and she has to work harder to make everything work to get her attendance back up, and therefore putting her under way more pressure. And then they're content and they stop caring. As long as she's not making them look bad to the teachers, it's fine. My God, just come on now. Ugh. No wonder she has a mental breakdown in like season 4 with all the pressure she's under. How do they not notice this? How do they not notice her vanishing from their house regularly? You'd assume there's an akumatization pretty much every single day. My God. I mean, in the latest Paris special, there's literally a massive explosion in Marinette's bedroom, and there's no response really. I mean, how can you possibly be this shit? I mean, compared to a lot of other characters in the show, they're fine, but they're so incompetent. And I think they might actually be the most incompetent parents in the show. Because don't forget, the others choose to be bad parents. They choose to be abusive. These people are just stupid or maliciously negligent. But yeah, regardless of the reason, they aren't as good parents as I remembered. Still better than most, but geez. So yeah, with all that being said, that's the end of the video, and these have been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think about my rant? Are you on board with me, or do you think I'm a bit delusional? I get it. And I'm honestly curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.